بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم إنك تعلم وتعلم تذكر وتذكير ونفع والانتفاع لفعل الاستفادة حتى تمسك بكتاب الله وعلى سنة رسول الله ودعاء للهدى لخير مرضاته وقربه وثواب الله تعالى اللهم ها هنا بين يديك ودعفنا لا يخفى عليك فتأملنا بلطفك جودك برحمتك رحم الراحمين يسحمر كل ظاهرها باطنها في إنك على كل شيء قدير وعلى سؤالنا جدير سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed the Ummah of the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, khasatan, especially in these moments we are passing through. As the Prophet ﷺ said, is that when we come upon these moments when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has nafahat, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has these days and these moments where His divine winds pass through the Ummah, and when they come we should apply ourselves to them, meaning that we should raise our himmah and roll up our sleeves and get ready in the ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. There's a reason why the companions radiallahu anhum and the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam used to make the dua, Allahumma barik fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. Allah bless us in our Rajab and Sha'ban and make us reach the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah, we are now at the gate of the month of Ramadan, the month in which the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam used to prepare months in advance. In fact, as mentioned, the companions used to prepare for this month 6 months in advance, and thereafter reap the benefits of the month for the rest of the year. It's as if it's the month in which a person, when he has a trade, and at a certain season by which his trade proliferates, a certain season by which his trade bears its fruition as harvest, this is that moment for the believer. And it's for this reason the scholars have mentioned that this month is called Sayyid al-Shuhur, and some ahadith also mention this. Sayyid al-Shuhur, because this month will be a demarcation of how the rest of your year will go. If you roll up our sleeves and benefit from this month and take from the nafahat and the winds of this month and the virtue of this month, then inshallah ta'ala the rest of the year will also be likewise in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's obedience. This is why the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, قَدْ أَذَلَّكُمْ شَهْرٌ عَظِيمٌ Shahr Mubarak. Now, indeed, a month has come upon you, a tremendous month, a virtuous and a blessed month. Now, and then the Prophet ﷺ continued in the hadith and mentioned that this is a hadith we should take benefit of, and we should plan our time within this month. And this is ultimately how we are going to benefit from our time in this month. As you mentioned previously, is that a person should now be in these moments before we enter into the month. And as we are progressing into the month, a person should be in a state of isti'dad. Isti'dad meaning a person should be in a state where he is or she is prepared to enter into this month. How can a person do that? A person does that by demarcating his time, by a time which he has for the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which should be the majority of his time. And we hear from the great ulama of the Salaf and the Khalaf of the great early generation and those that came after them, that when it came to this month, now they used to fold away their teaching and apply themselves to this month to get the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's for this reason Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, إِذَا كَانَ أَوَّلَ لَيْلَةٍ مِنْ شَهْرِ رَمَضَانِ صُفِّدَتْ الشَّيَاطِينُ وَمَرَدَتْ الْجِنُّ وَغُلِّقَتْ أَبْوَابُ النَّارِ فَلَمْ يُفْتَحْ مِنْهَا بَابٌ وَفُتِحَتْ أَبْوَابُ الْجَنَّةِ فَلَمْ يُغْلَقْ مِنْهَا بَابٌ. The Rasul ﷺ, he said that indeed when the first night of Ramadan comes, and this is now approximately now almost an hour away, when this month comes upon you, the night of this month, this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shayateen are chained. And thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not only says the shayateen, but also the maradat jinn, meaning the disobedient and the wretched of the jinn are also sealed and they are chained. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closes the bab of nar, of Jahannam, and it's not open. Thereafter, the door of Jannah is opened and it's not closed. So this is a time, inshallah ta'ala, that in this moment when this occurs, and this is only an hour or so away from when it starts to occur, a caller from the heavens will call, وينادي مناد يا عبادي الخير أقبل. And so the angel will say, oh, the person who is striving for goodness, come forward and and uh, and exert yourself. This is not like any other month or any other moment, but rather a time in which we roll up our sleeves and we feel you could say almost the fatigue of this month. And by that, when a person leaves this month, he will find that his heart has received the divine light. It's been enlightened with the love of Allah and the love of the Rasul. A person will start to taste the beauty of ibadah, the beauty of tilawah of the book of Allah, the beauty of dhikr of Allah, the beauty of akhlaq al-tayyibah, a beautiful character for His sake alone, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then a munadi, an angel will also say on that day, will say, وَيَا بَاغِي الْشَرِّ أَقْصِرْ. And as for a person who seeks evil, then reduce your evil, stop your evil. Is it not enough that this month has come with Allah's virtue and mercy is upon us? That a person should now seek the virtue of this month and turn away from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by turning away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's disobedience. Now, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ وَتَقَى مِنَ النَّارِ وَذَلِكَ كُلِّ لَيْلَةٍ. And this occurs, and this month, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has those who will be emancipated, freed from Allah, from the hellfire. And this is said every night of this blessed month. Every night of this blessed month, a call will call. Now, so this moment is soon to come upon us. How do you prepare for this month? First and foremost, we plan our time. We say that we plan our 24 hours of the day. Within that, we place our rest. Within that, we place the moments in which we are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Within that, we place our muraqabah, a time of a muhasabah, times of the Quran, times of salah, times of dua, times of khidmah, times with our families, and times with our local community, even if it's not personally, at least by keeping our connection with those people by all the means that are available. And this month is a litmus test, meaning that this month we are going to become aware of what our state with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, more so than any other month or any other time of Ramadan that has occurred in the past. Why is that the case? Because in this month we are going to be left to our own devices. There's going to be the community will be present, yes, but the physical community around us will not be present. This is the moment between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a moment in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see the true states of where every person is where every person is in with Allah Jalla wa ala. Meaning that He will see if the person was worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for community or for himself or Allah's sake alone. So in this month more than any other month, and in this year more than any other year, we need to roll up our sleeves inshallah in preparation for this month. One of the scholars, they used to mention that the intentions that a person can have for this month, and especially in the time that we see ourselves, is more acute in this time than it is in any other time. And in fact, one of the scholars who has a famous book called Book of Intentions, the Kitab al-Niyat, the Habib Muhammad Alwi al-Idrus, when he mentions some of the intentions a person makes when he is in this month. Now, first and foremost, and a person only will be rewarded according to his intention. And we all know the hadith. But however, the intention that we take isn't just something we say with our tongues, we think with our minds, but rather it's something that we have the internal reality of that within the depths of our hearts. So within this month, the first intention we should make is the rida and taqarrub to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is closer to Allah, to be in His presence, to be in His hudur, Jalla wa ala. And a person cannot get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except that which emanated from Him. And that is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dhikrullah al-Akbar, indeed, is the greatest dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also within this month, when we are within the passing through the month, we should make the intention of khalwa. We will make the intention of being, you could say, removed, some distance from people. And this idea of khalwa is not something that's strange or something that is something that is alien to our faith. In fact, if you have a look at the great prophets and thereafter the scholars and thereafter the early generation, they used to be such that they used to love this to be in a state of khalwa. And this more so in this month more than any other month. So make an intention when a person is within their home and they cannot, for whatever reason, as we know, go to the masjid, or they cannot be in the company of other people. What better time than to make an intention that, Ya Allah, I'm reviving i'tiqaf in my home. And this i'tiqaf, it can be an optional i'tiqaf, which means that a person may still have to leave the area where they are in. But if they make an i'tiqaf intention, inshallah ta'ala, that they'll receive their fair share of that ajr of the i'tiqaf. And we know that the person who does i'tiqaf, and between him and Jahannam are 3 trenches, and the distance of 1 trench is a space between the heavens and the earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to not only just do actions as we come to, but rather make this month a transformative month. And that's why the month and the word of and the name of the month is Ramadan. And as we've said many a time before, from the verb Ramadan, which means a heat which purifies metals. In the same way, this month of Ramadan is a purifying month, and that is the intention we should enter into this month. And that intention will not come to fruition, as the Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah mentions, except if a person takes benefit of his time and starts from today to start to make that timetable with himself, his family, his dependents, that how I'm going to use this month, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to place barakah within time within this month. Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to say, Ma anta illa ayyamuk, fa idha dhaba yawmuk dhaba ba'duk. He used to say, you are not except your days. If a day goes, then know that some of you has already gone. And it's a beautiful metaphor. If a person just to think for a moment and imagine himself like a physical being, and every part as every day goes. One day comes, another day goes. One day comes, another day goes. It's as if part of his body is being taken away from him. It's as if his arm is leaving him. It's as if his fingers are leaving him. It's as if part of his body is leaving him. And until the time he stands in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafter, to have the intention also to purify yourself by withdrawing from people. And somebody came to somebody came to Syria Sakhti and said to him, "Oh Imam, I want to spend time within your company." And this you may think to be something strange, that somebody is going to another believer to spend time in his company. But we should think to ourselves, from the worldly perspective today, how many people travel the lands, and who used to travel the lands before we had this the dissension of this virus. Many people travel the lands to be in the company of other people, whether they be famous personalities or whether they be coaches or reform coaches, whatever they may be. People who travel great distances. This also used to occur in the past in our faith, where every person and every believer, his intention wasn't the hatab of the dunya, wasn't the contents of the dunya, but rather to seek in the akhirah. So he went to this scholar, and he said to him, I want to spend some time with your company. He said these beautiful words to him. He said, if I pass away, in whose company will you return to? And the person thought, and he said, I will return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Sakhti said to him thereafter, he said, if that is the case, then you have no need for my company. Be in the company of whom you will ultimately return to. Meaning that withdrawing from people will incite an insight within your heart, will enable you to understand the reality of the dunya. Imam Shafi'i, he used to say that people are such that while one moment they will be your friends, and at the second they will become the same ones who used to show you their love and their concern. They will become your adversaries. And he mentioned that somebody once came to him with some unpleasant words they were saying about him. And this person heard them from the other person. He brought them in the presence of Shafi'i. And he said, Ya hadha. He said, oh you, inna hadhihi kalimat ma asabatni illa anta jitta biha. He says, oh you, know that these words did not, or these arrows did not affect me until the time that you have carried them to me. And this is why, subhanAllah, you will find that the scholars and the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prefer the company of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the company of others. It is only Allah that knows you. No other person knows you. No matter what opinions a person may have of you, what impressions they may have of you, or what belief they may have of you, but only you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows you. So no matter if they praise you, or they criticize you, or they raise you, or they debase you, but nonetheless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ultimately the one that only knows you subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what better time than to be in his company in a month when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to come towards him. He's turning us to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah Jalla wa ala enable us that this is the month that we are in khalwa, not only from our bodily khalwa, our bodily seclusion, but also now it's time for our spiritual seclusion. Turn our hearts away from people and turn them to the one who is the one that muqallib al-qulub, the one who is the one who can change the hearts of others to ourselves. So these moments that we are passing through of Ramadan, this is soon to come upon us. So the planning of this time is the time that we need to start from now. And then inshallah ta'ala, as we are progressing, we will start to see the lights of this month. When the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said, awwaluhu rahmah, wa awsatuhu maghfirah, wa akhiru itq min an-nar, the first of which is Allah's mercy, the second of which is his forgiveness, the third of which is his emancipation from hellfire. So let's prepare for these moments as we have before this time enters upon us, by drawing up a schedule for how we are going to spend this time. And the advice the ulama have given, how a person makes a schedule of barakah, that he transposes between different types of ibadat. Quran, dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafter, beneficial ilm, knowledge which he can learn or read to raise his himmah and his resolve. Thereafter, khidmah, and so many other forms of the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, so this time that we are with Allah Jalla ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can rectify the lives of every single person within this month. And there's 5 parts of this month which a person should try to perform, because these are the asbab of taqwa. These are the means of taqwa. These are the ways in which a person attains the darajah of taqwa. And I'm sure we've heard many a time before when we've heard our imam, our khutbah, and our scholars and our du'at and callers to Allah, when they all mention كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ قَبْلَكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And Siyam has been made compulsory upon you as it was made compulsory on those people that came before you. And when Allah mentions this compulsory upon you and those that came before you, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seeks this from every single people, meaning the first of us and the last of us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made means of how that can be achieved, and that can be achieved through Siyam. And the end goal is what? Is taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just the outward abstaining from food and drink and relations, but rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires us for a higher purpose, a purpose of his realization, which is ultimately the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for this reason, Allah, when the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam said, there will be certain people who will fast the day, keeping it from food and water. And then the Rasul alayhi salam mentions about these people. They will not seek anything illa ju'a wa atash. They will not seek anything with from the fast except only what? Hunger and thirst. Why? Because they have taken the ibadah of Allah only to be an outward form, but rather as a reality in the inward state of ibadah. And that is what is sought by us within these moments. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, and inshallah we'll stop in a moment. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions when He says now, لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ مِنكُمْ لَعَلَّهُ أَتَقْوَى مِنكُم. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed, now, لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا. Indeed, you will, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not attain from you its blood, its meat or its flesh, nor its blood. وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنكُم. Allah says, indeed, the flesh and the blood will not reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah will reach him, taqwa minkum. Piety is that which will reach him. This is in context to udhiyah, context to sacrifice of a sacrificial animal. But nonetheless, the principle is still the same. The principle is still the same, that Allah wants what from us? A taqwa. Now, so what are these 5 means I've mentioned just a moment ago? I'm going to end there, inshallah. The 5 means a person to attain taqwa. First of all, we have that within the month of Ramadan, and that is siyam. That is siyam. Siyam of just abstain from food and water and relations? No. The siyam in which you establish it how it should be established. That is the siyam where we establish the faraid, the base level of siyam, which every single person, without which there is no siyam, there is no fasting. But no, another level, a level in which within that siyam, we abstain our eyes, our tongues, our ears, our limbs from the prohibited, that which may not invalidate the siyam in terms of its ruling in our sacred law, in our fiqh, but nonetheless it takes away from the reality of siyam. So the only thing you'll have at the end of siyam is having absolved the obligation without reaching the thamara or the fruits or the blessings of siyam. So first, when a person establishes the siyam, this is the reason. And Imam Ghazali rahimahullah and other scholars speak about the highest stations of siyam. The siyam where a person keeps away from all the muharramat, and then the siyam of those whom when they are in their fast, they think of nothing other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah give us the tawfiq of that type of sawm. Ameen. So first of all is siyam. Then to read the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with some type of understanding. If those who know Arabic, alhamdulillah, they have great understanding. Those who don't know Arabic, they should learn. And it's not difficult, alhamdulillah. And those who you find that difficult also, at least try to pay attention to certain verses, certain ayat, certain surah, certain names they will know. They will hear Ayat al-Kursi, or they will hear Al-Fatiha, or they will hear Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, or Iblis, and so forth. By this, the stories of these great events should come to our minds, to give us a presence within our prayer. So reading the Quran with some type of understanding. Thereafter, a person stands with Qiyam al-Layl. It becomes even more easier in this month that we are in. Thereafter, a person to make dua at the time of just before the end of suhoor, that is the beginning of dawn, and when the siyam starts, at that time to make dua at that time. And thereafter, the 5th is to keep the company of the people of piety. And the people of piety, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that, as we know, when we say the taslim, we say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to the right, and we say it to the left. Who do we intend when we say this taslim? We intend by this all the pious of those on our right, the believers, from mankind and jinn, and also from the malaika. Okay? The mankind, the jinn, and also from the malaika. Meaning what? Meaning that being in the company of people of piety is a realm other than the physical realm. The homes that we have now to establish our prayers, we can make the intention for those. And if a person spends time in the ibadah, he will find that it will be the malaika who will become his companions. And what greater companion can a person have from the malaika? And this is very clear when the hadith, when the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, when he mentioned the person when they raised their hands to dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a person said, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. Now we hear these words. And then the angels hear this dua. Now, and then they said, in the hadha, this person's voice is something that is known to us. Now, this voice is one that is known. The angels hear the voices of people when they call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to benefit from this month. And the best of what we can do within this time is start off in istighfar. And istighfar as the month enters, because when the month enters, Allah is looking upon his slave with the eye of mercy. And you see the slave in istighfar and in tadarru to him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will open for him, inshaAllah ta'ala, a great opening. As the Prophet when he mentions that when Allah looks at the affairs, he looks at the beginning, now, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at the khawatim, now. الأمور بخواتيم يعني affairs or أعمال بخواتيم يعني actions are by their endings. So these two times at the beginning and the ending action are vital that a person is in worship. So istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And secondly, thereafter in tahleel La ilaha illallah. And this is what the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, when he mentioned and he mentions two things which he cannot do without. La ilaha illallah, astaghfirullah, nasrul jannah, na'udhu bika min an-nar. And the person makes these two du'as, oh Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except you, and I seek Jannah and your protection from hellfire. And thereafter, all the other parts I've mentioned about preparing your time, that those 5 actions I've mentioned, they have your 24-hour day has some part of all of those 5 actions. And when the person does that, he, inshaAllah ta'ala, will be on the door and get the steps and be and upon the path towards the realization of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once a person has the realization of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once a person has the realization of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the people of Allah used to say, and don't forget that some of the people of Allah were those who had the realms of kingdoms at their disposal, such as Ibrahim the Adham. Now these were rulers who lived in palaces and great wealth and riches. And from these people these words are related when they say, لو كانوا يعلمون ما عليه من النعم لقاتلون بالسيوف. He says, if these people knew what we were upon, they would have fought us with their swords. Meaning Allah gives us a reality of understanding and a love and a muhabba within our hearts and a feeling of closeness to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, which no wealth of the world can rival. And this is when they call hubbul munajat, when they love calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who would not love calling upon the King of the Kings, the ruler of all rulers, He who overpowers and He who bestows and He who withholds. Jalla ala. So Allah give us tawfiq, inshallah, to make them benefit of this month and prepare for this month, inshallah. Wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Barakallahu feekum. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وعفوا منكم.